Every sports fan has an opinion. Well, these are ours. Welcome to Brock and Pep's Unsportsmanlike Convo.
Right.
And here are your hosts, Brock Fleming and Pep Kharyati.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I had a little panic there. I thought that wasn't working for the audio version of Cap City Beats. Anyway, it is April 5th, 2022. Joining me as usual,
microphone checker, swinging sword lecture, closing down
none other than P-Dog Kharyati. How you doing, Pep?
I'm good, buddy. I can't wait to see your brother tomorrow. He's going to be doing my taxes.
Is he?
And he's gonna get a nice payday for doing that. Appreciate it very much, Mr. Kurt Fleming, executive producer of the show.
I need Kurt to do my taxes.
He's the man.
So we just went to Mexico last week. Took a little vacation, a lot of fun. Kurt gets coerced into doing things and trying things, and one of them was he did a front flip. Kane got him to do a front flip in the pool, not even off the side, just in the pool, do a front flip. And then I think it was Bree maybe saying, "Can you do a backflip?" Well, Curtis, no slouch to the challenge, is up for it, and gave the old backflip a try. And then 2 minutes later, I had Kane at my door at the resort. Do you have a towel? My dad's head's bleeding. He did a backflip, and this is the result. Scratched up his whole forehead. Didn't get through. He's lucky. He said he went back to try and do it and threw himself back, and heard, underwater you hear that thump, like that's how loud it was. Anyway, knocked his head on the ground, and anyway, it was tough. But
absolutely,
that's Curtis for you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, check it out, brother. Fanatics.ca. I'll wear it forward for you there because I know that some of you guys aren't visor guys or whatever, and you make fun of guys who wear visors or whatever. So do I. Yeah. You know who got me on the trail of visors?
Carl told me.
Big time. Yep.
He's the only guy
years ago.
Yeah.
I saw him wear it like this once. I'm like, that's me, man. Actually, I think I saw him wear it like this once. Like
yeah.
100%. Yeah. So thanks, Carl.
You put his snacks in there at the top.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to the Carleton Ravens for their 16th championship. Yeah. Their 16th championship in the last 20 years. I think they've made it to the finals practically every year. Just unreal. Like, not talked about enough, I don't think, in mainstream media. It's a dynasty. It's the second highest level of basketball in Canada, next to the new CEBL, and for the longest time it was the best in the business. And they keep doing it. And then the scary part of that team is they don't even have a senior. They're all coming back next year. So
what's the deal with the fact that you can only watch it on CBC Sports streaming.ca, whatever?
It's a travesty. It should be on television. It should be covered by. There was a couple of years where Sportsnet was covering it.
Yeah,
so
why has it gone to just a stream? Why is it taking a step back? Is it just no interest? What is it?
It might be the venue. Like, I know they played in the that Alberta. They were playing in Alberta. It didn't look like a beautiful stadium to me, or it was just looked like a local gym. So it might be venue. It might be a lot of things. I mean, I really don't know. It's actually a shame. But it streamed pretty well. There was no hiccups. I don't know what to say. It should be on TV. I mean, is the Vanier Cup on TV?
Yeah.
Or did you have to stream it?
No, that's a CBC thing usually.
Yeah.
Actually, TSN will do it too now.
Yep.
Seems to be a bit more of a hype there, but you'd think, again, the sport of basketball and how much it's improving in Canada overall, and popularity is increasing, all that kind of stuff, that you would want to promote that as much as possible.
100%.
when you're like, oh, Carlton's, I think they were down or whatever. And I said, oh, what channel? And you're like, cbcsports.ca. I'm like, I'm not going to go check that out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, easy to flip a channel, but, and I know a lot of people who don't have cable anymore. They don't pay for the cable. They'd rather pay for their Netflix or whatever. And so they're not, unless it's on CBC, they're not getting it on Sportsnet or something. I don't understand. I don't know. I'm not sure. It should be easy to get. It's local sports. Did Rogers cover it? I'm not sure if even Rogers was covering it. That Rogers channel would play it, but
yeah,
I do not know. But anyway, congratulations to them and Taffy Charles, who's one of the nicest guys, but he's a fantastic coach. And I'm happy for him.
Taffy and I used to work together at Dell Computers.
Oh, cool. Right on. That's awesome.
Cool, but we used to. Hey, it's springtime. I want to really express my disappointment that I can't play the song that I always usually play around, not quite this time because it's a song more for summertime, but as spring goes, it always makes me feel and reminds me of it. It's the Will Smith summertime song. And after the whole Oscar incident, I'm not going to play any more Will Smith stuff. It drives me nuts.
All I can say about all that crap is that
nothing to say on that. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that it was on the news for so long, and considering what's going on overseas, and COVID, and a lot of the real important issues, a guy makes a joke about. I mean, alopecia. I have alopecia. I have a mild form of it where sometimes my skin gets a little blotchy. It's not going to kill me. It was just a joke. They were shooting out jokes all over the place that night. That was probably the most tame of all the jokes that night. I'm not saying it was right. I think that it's those comedy shows or those award shows have become a roast, and a lot of the people in the audience are unprepared. The whole thing was stupid. The joke was stupid. The reaction was ridiculous. The whole thing is just ridiculous. And no, don't play that song.
No, I'm not.
Screw it.
And the other news today that came out that's not really as pertinent. Did you see the Score has a betting app? Did you get that notification?
I did. I followed this
betting app.
Yeah.
It's $1,000 they'll match. And that's just another way somebody's going to suck some money out of me.
You know what? I was thinking about talking about this with you today. I want to do a little more research on exactly how it all works. I think you and Kurt and some of the other guys have a better idea of how bets happen and how you parlay bets and all that stuff. Maybe on another show we'll have a couple of guys on. We could talk a bit more about it. But
yeah, we can have the degenerate show.
No. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But my concern is literally either people with gambling addictions now have another outlet, or people who don't might create one. I don't know. What do I know? I don't have the addictive personality, so I don't think I'm too worried about myself necessarily. But what do you think about that in terms of it becoming something for people, like a problem?
Look, people who have problems with gambling, people have problems with alcohol, people have problem with overeating. There are, what does it say?
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
And it's a deer.
I need a boom boom. That's what I need to do. Anyway, people who have those vices are going to find a way to get them. If this Score betting app is not there, Bet365, Betway, Bodog, whatever, you can do it. If your favorite beer is not there, you'll have another beer or some other alcohol. If there's another alcohol into that mix of options, it doesn't change anything.
Yeah,
it's still going to be accessible. So it's a matter of, that's a bigger issue. If McDonald's doesn't stop selling their Big Macs, I'll get a Whopper. You know what I mean? There's ways of feeding your addiction. So
100%.
That's not it. If it's controlled, if it's in Canada, because right now, or at least for the brief history there with online app gambling stuff, a lot of it's overseas. So you need to, the way you put money in and take money out, all that kind of stuff is a bit of a pain. And a lot of times it's easy to put money in, but there's a couple extra steps to take it out. And you just end up saying, screw it, I'm just going to keep betting.
Put more in. Yeah.
Then you lose.
Sure.
Whereas if this is a Canadian company and stuff, maybe you can pull it out faster. Who knows?
Yeah, I guess we'll see,
Borders, then it should be a little bit better for us.
We're not going to talk a lot of ball, but I just want to mention the Lakers can get eliminated from the playoffs tonight. LeBron is not playing, sprained ankle again. So they could be out of the play-in altogether if they lose tonight against against the number 1 seeded Phoenix Suns, who have probably a little chip on their shoulder after Anthony Davis said had he had been healthy, they might have beaten them last year. So you've given them some bulletin board stuff. You don't have the best player on your team playing. It's over. And Frank Vogel will be fired after the year. Magic Johnson made some comments about how they could have had DeRozan, but LeBron wanted Westbrook. We'll talk about that on another show. I just wanted to mention that tonight's the night where they could get eliminated, and it's pretty sad. It's actually very sad that they're 18 games under 500, and the San Antonio Spurs, who have nobody, are going to make the playoffs at like 15 games under 500. Pretty sad state of affairs. The NBA needs to really rethink this 7, 8, 9, 10 play-in. Maybe lose the 10 seed and just go 7, 8, 9, and those 3 teams can play for 2 playoff spots. But forget the 10 seed. Nobody under 15 games under 500 should be playing in the playoffs. Do you agree?
I agree. And that's the same. We talked about that with the NFL. You should have a minimum, just like college. You got
500.
at least 6 wins to play in a bowl game. 6 is above 500. You can't be 6-6.
Yeah.
So, you have to have a minimum thing in order to qualify for a bowl game. Same thing in the pros. It should be that. If you can't get to 500, you don't qualify for the playoffs.
And a quick shout out to the Raptors, who it looks like, I think, one more win and they'll solidify the a seed where they don't have to play in the play-in. So they'll be in the full playoffs. Think about where they were last year. They're like 23 or 24 games better than they were last year, record-wise, in the playoffs, obviously, now, and out of the play-in tournament, with really Scotty Barnes as the only extra player that they have. They last year they had Lowry, right? He's not there. I mean, if you think about what they've done with pretty much the same roster, you tinker in Scotty Barnes and Precious Achiuwa, like, it's pretty awesome. It's quite the turnaround.
Yeah,
it's quite the turnaround.
Did you watch the game with Lowry's return?
I did. I thought I was expecting a little more during the pregame because they were hyping it up so bad on TSN all week, and then the lead up to it, they had an hour pregame show. I mean, they had the video tribute was nice. I thought he might grab the microphone and say something, but he didn't. And then the game just sort of started, and it was over. And he played hard, and Miami came back and won that game. And Miami is the number 1 seed in the East. They won that game without Jimmy Butler too. So they're going to be a tough team. But the Raptors are going to avoid them in the first round, which is nice. And we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I watched it. I'm like you. I don't know.
I expected more.
Something a little bit bigger.
Hey, do you know who's on the back of my jersey?
What's the front one look like? Is the old one? I don't know. Let's go with it's not Joe Carter. That's
no, it's not that old. It's not that old.
Let's go. Bautista.
Yeah,
classic. He's still he's up there. Like his. Did you hear that thing about sign stealing with Bautista and all that kind of stuff back in the Jays when he was there?
No.
Yeah. Moving on. Yeah.
They're actually they've accepted this new technology for this season where a catcher can talk into his pitcher's ear and tell them what pitch to throw. So it's going to eliminate.
That, it's it goes to the fielders too.
Oh, does it really? There you go.
So the fielders, because they have to align based on what the pitch is coming in and stuff too, right? Because it's low and outside, they got to shift a bit. So I think they get that information as well to adjust their fielding accordingly.
Guess we'll see how that works.
I like it. How about we get, I don't know, there's so many of these, TikTok videos or whatever videos I'm scrolling aimlessly. I get to a few that's like, which one's like the worst blown strike call? And you just watch some of them. And it's Simber is
Adam Simber,
yeah. The one I remember watching that game where it was like right down the pipe and no call. And just constant. I'm like, the strike zone's something's got to give when it comes to the strike zone stuff. So if this technology is being used, maybe that'll open the door for some other technology in terms of balls and strikes. That should be the easiest thing for us to do.
Yep. Yeah, totally. And then baseball is slowly catching up with the rest of the world technology-wise. I would like to see a hybrid situation behind the plate. I don't want to see a full robot. I just don't. It'd be nice to have a hybrid, though, so a human being back there just in case.
I'd like to see the lights, red light, green light, or whatever. Like, just have that. It doesn't have to be anybody even behind the plate.
Yeah.
Just have the strikes and balls called somewhere else. Have an umpire behind the plate who can, just like the Savannah Bananas, and he does like you see that?
Entertainment. Yeah, I love those guys.
The whole dancing and stuff.
Well, there's more that goes on back there other than balls and strikes, right? There's the plays at the plate. There's foul tips, that maybe the machine can't pick up. Like, there's lots of things that you need an umpire for. So that's why a hybrid system, I think, would work. And it's like a Cyclops, if they can review tennis balls like a millimeter off a line, they can certainly do it with a baseball. I mean, those tennis balls are being hit a lot harder than baseballs are being thrown. So I don't know. There's got to be a way to do it.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, we're watching it on TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On TV, the overlay has a strike zone. The ball ends up in it or not in it. This system is already telling us whether or not it's a ball or strike.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of us implementing it.
Hey, if Mr. Ghost Policeman can catch me going 42.754 in a 40 and give me a $80 ticket, we could figure out balls and strikes.
I'm going to have to replay that one because you just threw out a lot of numbers and I don't know what you were doing.
I threw a digit in there. I threw a period in there. So, hey, let's sorry. You got something else you want to mention?
I was going to say, we talked balls and strikes. It kind of naturally goes into like opening day. Producer Mike is going to be back here. He says he's going to be a little tardy. I feel like we should wait for the Jays until he's on.
Yeah, let's wait for him. Sure, in case he comes back, we'll give him until the half an hour after.
Okay, let's see who can stay quiet the longest until he gets here. You win. Okay. So 45 minutes top chat. NFL, real quick.
Sure.
Just a couple things with the NFL.
What do you got?
The Commanders. What is happening with the Commanders? Now they're being accused of withholding ticket revenue from visiting teams. It's supposed to be 40% given to the teams, and they're being accused of withholding some of that ticket revenue. Surprised? Shocked?
No, not surprised, not shocked. I am shocked that Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera are still there. I mean, these are two good NFL guys who are hopefully not implicated. I mean, they're not going to be implicated, but they're by association sort of part of the organization. Those are good football guys, man. They deserve better than this. And Ron Rivera has put out a lot of fires that the front office has started. The guy deserves a little credit. It's such a shame. They were one of my favorite franchises growing up when they were the Redskins. They were one of my favorite franchises with Joe Gibbs. I loved Mark Rippon in that era. Art Monk, those guys, Dexter Manley. There was a fun team. Charles Mann, one of my favorite players. What happened? Like late 90s, they brought in Steve Spurrier, and then it all went to hell. Like it all went to like.
Okay, you had to go to Steve Spurrier and it went to hell? How about Schneider?
It was
Dan Schneider.
Right. No. I like Spurrier, actually. It wasn't his fault. Heath Schuler was his quarterback or something. Like, what are you going to do? I mean, it's been since 2000, 2001. They've had one good season followed by 5 terrible seasons. And it's such a shame because it's the nation's capital. It'd be like Ottawa stinking it up every 5-6 years and then having one sort of taste of the playoffs and then stinking it up for 5 more years again. We got lucky with Ottawa when they came back. They were pretty good right away.
When they came back this third time or second time, but I grew up on the Rough Riders. That was exactly what you just said. It was
stinking it up in the 80s.
Great. Yeah.
I mean, the Jeff Avery era was really the last good era. Then they stunk it up for a long time. But I mean, it's front office stuff, and it's clearly front office stuff in Washington. Something's got to give where the rest of the owners need to step up and say, okay, well, this guy can't continue to do this. He's embarrassing the league. But that being said, what can they do? He owns the team. The
NFL talks a big game, but I find that they protect their own.
Yep.
So let's see what happens. Anyway, that one there, not great. You talked about and you addressed a question to me on our Facebook page regarding the Lamar Jackson DK Metcalf interaction and if it was tampering. And you're a big basketball guy, and the tampering rules in basketball are very cut and dry. Any contact, any whatever, you'll get fined right away.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
The NFL one, just to clarify, this is where it is for tampering in the NFL, which is a little bit different and a little bit more lenient. So a club's representative or a third party of the club. So let's say, Lamar Jackson is a club representative involved in a private meeting or conversation with the player who is under contract or whose negotiation rights are held by another club, which is DK Metcalf's in Seattle. And the league obtains substantiation that before, during, or after the above contact with the player, Club A has stated publicly or privately its interest in obtaining his services. So it's like if the Ravens had said, maybe we want to talk to DK Metcalf or get a receiver in. But it goes beyond that. And that there's contract problems or other disputes subsequently arise between the player and Club B. So DK Metcalf in Seattle, like say he has a failure to report to camp or, is holding out or something like that. So there's 3 steps there for the NFL to really come down for a tampering act. So Lamar Jackson has publicly tried to bring DK. It sounds like the league needs some sort of proof. Well, I guess if it happens after and the Ravens do sign DK and DK that, withholds or sits out of camp or something, or mini camps or whatever it is, and holds out and looking for a trade, ends up with the Ravens, then I think there's tampering there.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's not. So they're not as quick to just throw out fines and punishments like the NBA, because they need to see these 3 aspects of tampering, and some of those won't come until DK signs with the Ravens or something. So anyway, it seems like it's a little bit different than the NBA.
A little convoluted there, but I get it. Yeah.
It's 3 things. It's just saying that there's contact with the player from Ravens, which is Lamar Jackson. There's interest from the Ravens, whether before or after signs them, whatever it happens to be. And the third one is that there's actually a contract issues with DK and Seattle, whether it be at this point holding out, trying to look for a trade, end up with the Ravens or something like that. Then,
what kind of message does he send his Ravens receivers by saying that?
Exactly what they should be doing. They suck.
Do they suck, or does he suck getting them the football?
It's true. I mean, a receiver is only as good as his quarterback. Really. Like if the quarterback can't get you the ball, it doesn't matter how good you are.
Yep.
Also, it doesn't matter how bad you are if the quarterback can't get you the ball either. It just means that you have an excuse.
He had accuracy issues all last year, more than the year before. I think he regressed a little bit. I know he had injuries and all that, but Lamar Jackson, at the end of the day, is going to need to be able to throw the football to win. And as fantastic as he is as a dual threat quarterback, if he can't throw the football, defenses will adjust. They already have. They've already figured him out. They know how to funnel him now. So what do? He's got to throw the football. And this was going to happen at some point. He was going to have to figure out how to throw the football.
Who is this? He's got Hollywood Brown. He's got who else? Mark Andrews is the big tight end.
Yeah, I think they picked up didn't they pick up a retread from another team, like a failed draft pick?
Dreadlocks. That guy.
Yeah.
He was with the Saints, I think.
I think so. So, I mean, he's had a couple of weapons. I mean, I don't think he hasn't had Jerry Rice, but I mean, he's had weapons. But again, they were built around their tight ends, right? They had Mark Andrews. Was it Hayden Hurst they had for a while?
Mm-hmm.
They had some weapons. So, they're slowly disappearing. And now he's got some offensive line issues. They're going to have to draft offensive line this year with Villanueva retiring. And I think they lost with their guard and center. So we'll see what happens in Baltimore. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. They picked up They have Sammy Watkins.
Okay. Again, what's Sammy Watkins at this point of his career?
Yeah. Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews, and then after that, we're going like Miles Boykin and Devin Duvernay, like you mentioned him. Anyway, like
Duvernay's, he's like a Swiss Army knife kind of guy, Anyway, all that to say, you got to throw the football, and whether they need DK Metcalf or not, I mean, it'd be nice to have, but
he doesn't need DK, and DK is probably in a situation where he's like, now what do I do? Am I living and dying by Drew Lock?
Yeah.
Geno Smith? Not likely. So
there are
he's got
some
1 year left.
There are some interesting free agents still in the market, but the one that sticks out for me as a Steeler fan, obviously, is Tyrann Mathieu.
He's visiting with the Saints.
He's visiting with the Saints. The rumor is like he may be willing to compromise a little salary now because obviously the market has cooled off a bit. Clearly, people are playing the waiting game. You know, Terrell Edmonds is still out there for other teams, and I think there's the kid from Dallas. I can't remember Kazoo or Kazay, or I can't remember his name, but Kazee. He's all pretty good, but he's out there too. So the market's still out there. I don't think teams are willing to spend a ton of money on Tyrann Mathieu at 31 or 32 years old, whatever he is. So, what do you think it would look like in Pittsburgh if he played alongside Minkah Fitzpatrick? You think Tyrann is still as formidable as he was, say, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, I think so. He's probably, that would be a good situation for him because he would have somebody else who flies around very similar to Tyrann Mathieu. So if he's not reliant on doing that all himself and you have somebody else where now it's, you know what I mean? Are you throwing in Minkah's area or are you throwing in Tyrann's area? You know, you can't cut the field in half and say, I'm going to throw away from somebody. So I think anytime you can be somebody of that caliber, even if it's, you know, later in your career, to be put and paired with other players who are impactful and tenacious as a Minkah Fitzpatrick, I can't even say his name, then I think that bodes well for the other player. It's just like those bookends, you know, you say, okay, you know, Von Miller, great. But if Von Miller doesn't have, you know, Aaron Donald inside and that young guy on the end, anyway, then you double Von Miller and you take him away. You need to, and that's where guys shine, is when you're put into a situation where you're one-on-ones.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a good fit for him because he'll be protected around, you know, he's got the reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year. You know, you got some good for. I mean, you know, Minkah got a revamped secondary, you know, so we'll see what happens. It's a good fit. Pittsburgh's clearly going all defense, and they'll draft what they need on offense, I think, if I have a good feel for what they're about to do. But I don't. I find the whole thing bizarre that I find it crazy that Kevin Colbert is their GM, and he's retiring right after the draft. I just, you'd think you'd want to get your own guy in there to put his stamp on the team before they start the season and not have the current guy draft and then leave. It's bizarre. Like I don't know.
That was happening?
Kevin Colbert is retiring after the draft.
And he's their GM.
He's their GM. That's what they agreed upon. Now, I don't hate Kevin Colbert. He's had more hits than misses. But, you know, where's his long-term investment if he's leaving? It's like, okay, I'll draft these. I'll do it for you guys, and then I'm out of here. Like, don't you want to get a GM, put his stamp on the team?
He's actually leaving Pittsburgh. He's going to Cincinnati. So this is like a double round. He's going to draft nothing but hot trash for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
With the first round of the pick. Yeah, exactly. Who knows?
We're taking Jamarcus Russell, but he's been out for it yet.
We're taking him again.
We're going to guarantee 50 mil.
Anywho. We'll just quickly touch upon the Kansas-North Carolina game yesterday. It was entertaining. I thought North Carolina was running away with it, but in the NCAA finals, you can never really count anybody out. It just it's a game of runs, right? In college basketball, like of any sport, it's a game of like major runs, 12-0 runs, 11-0 runs. We saw that yesterday. It wasn't very good basketball, to be honest. Like the actual quality of basketball, both teams looked exhausted. Why they have the finals 2 days after the semis is beyond me. Either play the semis on Friday and have that team have another day's rest. Like, figure it out. Like, it's just
they're on and off with the women's, aren't they? Like the women's Friday, and then Sunday was their final. And then anyway.
So you play your Sweet 16, you play your Elite 8. There's like 4 or 5 days in between those games, and all of a sudden you're playing finals, day off. You're playing semis, day off, finals. Like, you'd want your finals game, kind of like the Super Bowl, how they take that extra week. I think it's too long, but it's kind of like that. Like, give these guys another day or two to rest. I mean, I don't know. Played on the Thursday of the following week. I don't know. The teams looked tired. It wasn't great basketball. Obviously, it ended up coming down to the wire. But from a basketball perspective, it was sloppy. And the one kid for North Carolina sprained his ankle in the last game, and he was hobbling. He probably could have used another day off. Mm-hmm. He ended up re-spraining it like with 5 minutes left to go in the game, and he was a big loss. He was their big guy. So all in all, I thought the game was sloppy. A lot of missed layups.
It's tough to live up. I thought the North Carolina Duke game was probably. I mean, that was their championship kind of.
Yeah.
And that game was great.
Yeah,
I watched that, and it was
sure.
Back and forth, great. All the energy, the emotion, all that kind of stuff in that game was wonderful. But you're right. I mean, when North Carolina as an 8 seed gets past their number one Duke, which is going on this huge like Bond retirement to Coach K, and everything's kind of. You know what I mean? You're playing spoiler against your rival.
Yep.
You did a great job. But you can tell that the emotion was they were exhausted emotionally even in that game last night.
Yep. And you saw it in the play. It was sloppy. There was a lot of turnovers and again, missed layups, which I found interesting. But hey, all in all, ended up being an entertaining game, and you see them really empty the tank in the semis. So what you saw was probably the best basketball, and you hope that they can run on adrenaline. They're young kids. People say, "Oh, they're young; they can recover." No, it's a hard game, you know. And anyway, congratulations to the Kansas Jayhawks. I'm not a fan of either organization, to be perfectly honest, but whatever.
I think you spelled Jayhawks wrong in your.
I certainly did.
You certainly did. It is, as producer Mike starts to come in here, we're going to go real quick. Masters week this week. Does that excite you at all?
It didn't until I found out Tiger might be playing 14 months after potentially having his leg amputated. It's pretty remarkable.
And the Masters, now that I golf, is a big deal. I started to look into the Masters back at Colgate. My head medical, our head trainer, Marty Erb, who I owe a lot to, went every April to the Masters. He was always gone. We'd have spring ball and stuff, but he would always get that weekend off, whatever it is. He's always the Masters. So I started like following the Masters, but you know, I'm excited for it because it's one of the biggest tournaments now, and I can appreciate golf a little bit more than I had in the past because I've picked it up and I know how hard it is. But
yeah,
Tiger Woods playing, like you said, 14 months after a serious car accident that could have amputated one of his legs. He looks jacked. He's watching warm up and stuff today. He's doing all his practice rounds. Looks monstrous. Looks really good. How impressive is this of a feat? Say he wins. Let's just say Tiger Woods wins the Masters. He hasn't played in a tournament in, I don't know, was it 2 years or something like that? Year and a half. I mean, it's at least been 14, 15 months. So where does that, like, how impressive is that to you?
It'll be probably the most impressive thing that you'll ever see in golf. That's just my opinion. Because I mean, he said today his concern isn't hitting the ball. He thinks he's going to be able to hit the ball pretty well. His concern is walking the 18. So that's a real legit concern for him. I know what walking can do if you're misaligned. By the 10th hole, your back feels like it's knotted up. Muscles are countering each other. So I get it. And I get what he's saying, that, you know, the concern, if he was in a cart, he said, I'd be fine, but he's got to walk the 18. That's his biggest concern. So to me, this would be probably one of the most special things. I don't care if it's ugly golf and he wins by it's +6 and he still wins. If he wins the Masters in his current condition after 14 months, almost dying, it's going to be probably one of the most special things we'll ever see. So will I have my eyes on the tournament? Probably now.
Where would that rank in your sports all time?
In terms of comebacks or in terms of...
Yeah, how much do you put into golf as being, you know what I mean? Like where do you put that in terms of I don't want to say effort, but the feat of winning a PGA Tour event that has 100 and some golfers in on a Thursday, and you need to essentially beat every single one of those. You need to outlast them and win. winning a golf tournament is right up there as one of the hardest things to do in sports.
Yep. I'd say winning a golf tournament is up there with winning tennis because those are individual sports. And in tennis, it's a grueling, like 2.5 weeks of hell, really. Games can be 5 hours long where you're standing out in the dead sun, depending on the tournament you're playing, where it's playing. So it would rank up there for me as probably the greatest feat. I don't really have anything to compare it to, like somebody coming back from injury and like just being able to win a championship. There's nothing that really comes to mind off the top of my head where someone's come back from like a massive injury, like Mario Lemieux when he came back from his cancer, but I don't think they won the cup that year. He was just the fact that he was able to get back on the ice.
Right.
I don't really have a comparable. That in itself is pretty crazy. There's nothing to compare it to. I mean, the guy almost lost his leg. He was not supposed to walk again, and now he's playing in the Masters 14 months later. So we'll see. I'm not optimistic that he can. This is no joke. These guys are they're all awesome now. So, What do you think
of his chances?
No, what do you think? The question you asked me, where does it rank in terms of, let's say he wins? Is it the greatest thing?
Yeah, I think it's probably the greatest thing I'll ever see in sports.
Well, you set the bar pretty high. Good luck, Tiger. Brock just set the bar this high for you, my friend.
Tiger doesn't need me to set the bar any higher than he set it up for himself. Like,
true story.
That guy is some of the moments he's done and what he's like, some of his past injuries and what he's played through, and how he's won and come back and you think he's finished and he comes back and wins the Masters. Like, there's just things that he's done that, are really, when you think back at it, are probably the most impressive things I've seen in sports. And this would just be, the most impressive thing I've seen Tiger do. So that alone is anyway, I'll be 100%. Thursday. I think he tees off at like 10:45 or something like that. Anyway, I'll
keep my eyes peeled.
He's 41-1. I'll put $10 on him. We'll see what happens.
All right.
And we are going to bring in producer Mike is here. He's
pew, pew.
Pew, pew. All right.
Look at him. Look at him in all his glory.
How's it going, fellas?
It's going well.
No, that's not you. Is that you? No.
There we go. I could have taken the.
You could have taken the what? The Wish I Was a Little Bit Taller?
No, the Jays music today.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I have the Jays music anymore. We gotta put a.
Yeah. The OK Blue Jays one, though?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I have that anymore.
I don't think it's called that, by the way.
I don't even remember. I know the Bat Boys sing it. The Bat
Boys.
Awesome.
Oh, adorable. Hey, so let's get right into it. The last time we talked, the three of us, Grichuk was still on the team. Let's just start with that trade. Did you like that deal?
I mean, you're dealing from a position of strength with a guy who can do a lot on other teams that isn't going to do much on yours. So, yeah, it's a good deal. And what you're getting back, I think, is something you lack.
100%.
So, yeah. So you've added and you haven't taken away from, like I say, the guy, he was going to play if there's injuries, but that's about it.
Yep. 270 hitter, contact hitter versus a guy who starts off every year like he's an all-star and then fizzles out so hard the second half of the year. We'll see how he does in Colorado. Obviously, a hitter's ballpark, and we know Grichuk has power, but I think it's good. I think it's good for both. I mean, Grichuk it's a redundant position, right? They don't need him and Teoscar in that same side. The thing I did like about Grichuk, though, is he plays a nice center field.
Yeah. He's a good defensive. He's good all around. He's a good ball player. Like you say, the strikeouts and the double plays hurt. There were some games where he's a rally killer. When he's hot, he's hot. When he's not, he's not. So
there's a few rally killers. Sometimes, like anybody who rally is going to get that stipulation. He went through his ups and downs. I thought he was starting to really come on when, I really found like when he wasn't relied on as being the guy for a while. He was our highest paid player. He was our guy. You know what I mean? Like he was relied on as being our top player, and he wasn't that. And I think that's where he really started to struggle. And as we put those pieces in, and he sort of fell into that, almost back into a role player's role, I think he started to improve. At least that was my opinion. I thought he was doing well.
No, I found the problem with Grichuk is that, like I say at the beginning, he had 2 major streaks in a season. I'd be satisfied if he had like hot streak, cold streak, hot streak, cold streak, hot streak. His career in a season, he's having a hot streak till All-Star to the All-Star game, and then he's based like he's what Mike said. He's a rally killer. He's strikes out, can't get the bat on the ball the whole second half of the season when it matters. And he was batting 7th or 8th, so there's no pressure on him. I'm not shooting at the guy, but he ends the season with what? He's 230 at the end of the year. It's just not good enough. So for me, it's like you pick up a guy now that you can slide Teoscar in the DH spot. You've released Greg Bird. You've let him go. So you're going with Cato, I think is how you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
I don't know what position he plays. Is he second?
He plays all over.
But I love him. He's kind of got a. And again, this is a comparison is obvious. I'm not going there, but he's kind of got a Kawasaki kind of feel to him, right? Like clubhouse guy. I saw him take a selfie today. He was posing for the camera. I'm not
high energy off the bench, which is what you want. He can play any position. He's not a liability offensively. Like Kawasaki couldn't hit. He wasn't the best hitter. This guy's got a bit of I wouldn't say pop, but 300 in AAA last year.
Yeah.
So he'll fit in anywhere. So again, way more versatile than a Greg Bird who
keeps things light.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you want. You just want a positive guy, because he's not going to get that much playing time. And you want someone who, when you do need to plug him in, he's happy to do it and play wherever.
Well, look, he's happy to be there. He's not a kid. So this is an opportunity for him to start a year on a big team, big league roster, I should say. Sorry. And I like it. I was surprised. I had posted on our webpage about Bird getting released and how I was kind of surprised. But now that you mention it, is Bird going to be your savior at DH and split first? Probably not in the long term based on his injury history. So who knows? I do like the versatility that this guy brings, but I also think the Jays might be up to something. And I don't know. It's just a gut feeling, and I think Pearson might be at the end of their rope with him. He's been ill for the last 2 weeks. He's had no spring training. He's going to start the year in the AAA, whether he likes it or not, because he hasn't had a chance to iron out his kinks, and he doesn't have COVID. So
he's mono.
Is that what he has?
Yeah, he's got mono.
Well, it's not boding well for him. They're frustrated with him. This was supposed to be the spring where he comes out and he's an integral part. Now he's got to start the year in the minors. Like I'm losing patience with him a little bit. Like I don't know. Am I being irrational?
I'd say patience. Like just because of the high reward capabilities of the guy. He's here now. You're not losing anything by keeping him.
Don't you get mono from kissing though? Isn't the kissing disease?
Oh yeah, the guy.
Could he not kiss somebody for one spring training? Could just wait to kiss somebody.
Yeah. The mask comes off, and this guy's up there.
When Mike says patience in response to whether or not Pierre is being irrational, that means yes, you're being irrational.
And then Pierre goes into the mono.
I just want to clarify how you get mono, and he just hold your horses, bud. COVID and everything, and he's out there kissing people. Just wait.
I can't argue with that.
No, listen. Anyway,
nothing to follow up on that,
guys. Quick note. This is not a Jays note, but Chris Sale's on a 60-day DL. Is that a big deal for the Sox?
Well, but didn't he? He's always injured, or at least to start the year.
He has a rib. It's a rib fracture, which ribs are brutal injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, they're painful. But like 60 days, that's 2 months.
But when guys sign big contracts like that, like sometimes lifting all that money just makes he had the contract. He doesn't care.
I guess
it's those bonuses.
But that's a big shot at Boston. I think they're, I'm not sure how strong they are. They're starting 5. I don't know if Jackie Bradley was a good reacquisition, and losing Hunter Renfroe, who hit well for them last year. I know they picked up Trevor Story, but like as a team who actually represented in the playoffs last year and played well, losing Schwarber too. I'm like, do the Sox take a step back this year?
I think last year was such I don't want to use the word anomaly, but they came sort of out of nowhere. Like not much was expected of them, and here they were, this playoff bound team. You're right. I think Schwarber was a big piece for them.
100%.
A good left-handed bat that played the outfield with some power. So I think he'll be a big loss. And Jackie Bradley Jr. I mean, I think it's a pretty significant drop off
Offensively, anyways.
Yeah, in skill. As you say, offensively, he's good defensive. But I don't see them factoring in just because the Jays have a pretty strong team, and then Tampa's always a threat as well. So I don't see Boston making postseason.
I was looking at the power rankings, the league power rankings. I think they ranked the top 10, and out of the top 10, you got the Yankees, Jays, and Rays. That's hard, man. I mean, we just to get out of the division is hard.
It is, and it's hard to attract starting pitchers. 2 teams in the AL East because no one wants to face these teams.
Of course.
So credit to Kevin Gausman for joining the Jays this year.
He had a good outing today, I think.
I didn't see today, but I saw the other day, not long ago, where he looked good.
Yeah,
and he's throwing hard. He looks ready to go. Same with Berrios. I know the new guy from Seattle had a few hiccups. Yeah, Kikuchi had a few hiccups, but it's one of those things. I think it was more nerves, to be honest. Which is
new
odd,
team.
but yeah, exactly. I think just trying to find your place and sort of back that salary up.
Berrios, Gausman, Ryu, Manoah, Kikuchi. Where does that rank in the? Where does that rank in the majors in terms of pitching staffs?
It's got to be close to the top. I think one of you said the power rankings there, and I think they ranked the pitching, bullpen. They did all the different rankings, and the Jays were in the top 5 for each. So I mean, they're as good as anybody else, and it always comes down to health. Mm-hmm. But I think this year they have the depth. They can bring in Stripling. You've got that handful of young guys who are almost all interchangeable because they're not that great, and they're not sort of where the Blue Jays had hoped. I don't think, but they're all there that they can spell a team for spot start here and there. Or come in for injuries. So I think they're well suited. They're well positioned.
They have the Jays as power ranked number 2 overall, but it says don't be surprised if Toronto moves into the top spot. Their rotation has been ranked as the 3rd best by MLB.com.
I said top 5 because
I like that they can bring in because that 5th starter is always the wild card, right? You're going to get, barring injury, you're going to get Manoah, Ryu, Berrios, and Gausman. They're going to come out. They're going to eat innings. That's a better. I don't know if there's a better top 4 in the majors, to be honest with you. It's that 5th starter. If this guy from Seattle can come in and actually solidify the 5th spot and be better than Steven Matz, who's been getting shelled in New York, by the way, or in St. Louis. But like they can bring in Trent Thornton's had a nice spring, and they still have Anthony Kay in the system. They've got some guys that can play that 5th starter. It's when those guys have to play the 3rd starter. That's when it gets troubling. When you've got injury and you've got Anthony Kay and Trent Thornton starting games 3 and 4. Like that's when you get into some trouble. So if those top 4 can stay healthy, I'm pretty comfy with that starting 5. Who is their closer? Is it going to be Jordan Romano?
I think he's hurt to start the year, but I think it will be him. But he's a guy who tends to like last year. He was named the starter. It was a no doubt. This is the guy. And he started pretty poorly out of the blocks. So with the bullpen they have now, they can have a short leash and make the change and say and just give him a break to get back into it because it's such a mental part of the game, and especially for him, you look at how many different sort of hitches he has in his windup and different gimmicks he has, the bending down and so just give him a chance to right himself. Or play some sort of low leverage innings and get back on track.
Well, they got some guys that can do the role. Julian Mayweather looks like he's healthy, at least for the time being.
Last year, right?
He was untouchable.
Our closer, and then got hurt, I think, right?
I saw him against the Yankees. I think it was game 2 of the year, and he threw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball at the guy's chest. Couldn't hit it, and then he dropped a 6'12" or 12-6 curveball, like fell out of the sky. I'm like, holy cow, this guy's got some good stuff. And then he got hurt.
I think he struck out 3 guys in that one inning.
That's the game. That's the game I saw it. So they did pick up. Sorry.
And it was a tight game. Like it was.
Yep. High leverage position. He came in. It was like 2-1, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But they picked up Yaimi Garcia from Houston, who I like those types of acquisitions because A, the guy's healthy, B, the guy eats innings, and 3, he's won. So you picked up a winner in your pen to help the young guys. So they're positioned well. I still don't think Matt Chapman is the guy to swing the pendulum completely over. They didn't make the playoffs last year. We have to remember that. They did not make the playoffs. So it's going to be, is it their rotation that puts them over the edge? Is it Vladdy going completely berserk at the plate, which he might do? He looks like he's in phenomenal shape. Like, what's going to push them over to the next level?
The bullpen.
I think the bullpen helps. But I think, honestly, it's the playing in Toronto 160 or half the schedule rather than moving around to 3 different stadiums.
Was that last year?
That was last year. Their winning
losing
percentage
track of time. Yeah.
so
Okay.
good in Toronto, but they only played so many games because they were in Syracuse and Buffalo for the first, third of the season or 2/3 of the season.
Yeah. Dunedin and then Syracuse and then Toronto eventually. Yeah. So I think having a true home will help a lot. Matt Chapman, like, I don't want to make the comparison because it was just last year and it's too easy to do, but I don't expect him to have a year like Semyon did, but you're talking about a guy coming to a hitter-friendly ballpark. He's got good power, and he played in a football stadium. So you know what I mean? That ball is going to travel, and those long fly balls, outs, might be home runs this year. Yeah. So I think that's what he's there for, is to provide that power bat. He's not going to hit for average probably, but so be it. It's a trade-off, and he's going to play solid defense when guys like Ryu are on the mound. And I don't know what the ground ball percentage is to third, but it's high. And he's a platinum glover.
Yeah, so I mean, his glove alone is worth the money. I am standing by my word. I do think they'll be able to reproduce what Semyon provided if you factor in Chapman and or Biggio Espinal at second. I think the combination of those 3 guys will produce 48 home runs or whatever Semyon hit. I truly think that. I do also think that I'd love to see an upgrade at second base. I'd love to see them swing for the fencing and pluck Jose Ramirez. It's not going well in Cleveland. He wants to stay there, but they lowballed him pretty hard. Like, what was it, 5 years, $100 million? If you think about the money that's being dished out to guys who are inferior hitters, this guy's a switch hitter who can hit everywhere, anything. If you slot him at second, oh my God, what a lineup that would be.
Yeah, he's a gamer. He's a lot like Donaldson in his prime. Like he does it all, and he's always got the dirty uniform. But the one thing I'd say is that Cleveland thinks they have Toronto. They think they've got them where they want them because they've got a hole at second base where they're putting 1 or 2 guys in who aren't the best. I'd wait it out because I think both those guys, Biggio back at second, and a buffed up
15 pounds of muscle
Espinal. These guys are hungry and they're going to push each other. I think in terms of that competition for the position and for playing time. So I think I wait. I don't cave to any deals. And you were talking about Pearson earlier. Maybe he gets over the mono and starts in AAA or what have you, and looks really good, and he becomes a piece you can dangle. Because I don't think Cleveland would have much value in him right now. But again, this is I just push pause and let the season start out as is with this roster.
So if those 2 guys are pushing each other at second and they're having success, like they're both playing, the best they've played, do you still make the deal
for Ramirez?
Yeah.
Yes.
See, I don't know. It would depend the ask. It would depend what we have and when it is in the season.
I think that's a fair assessment. I say anytime you have a chance to get him under a controllable contract for another year or 2, or the deal is contingent on an extension, you pull the trigger. As long as it doesn't cost you, and this is, I mean, again, this is ideal, perfect world. As long as it doesn't cost you Gabe Marino or Elvis Martinez, everybody else in the minors is like, go ahead and deal. And if it costs them, I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say if it costs them Lourdes, Biggio, and or Espinal, and Groshans, and whoever else in the minors, you pull the trigger. As long as you keep Gabe Marino, throw in Kirk. I mean, bring Marino up now. Gabe Marino is ready to play in the majors now. He's better than Jansen and Kirk combined right now. The only reason why they're not bringing him up right now is because they just want him to develop a little bit more. But he's ripped up every league. So as long as you can keep him, and I like Orelvis Martinez, the guy's got some serious pop. Yeah, pull the trigger. Here, take Groshans. I mean, Groshans is, for me, I've seen nothing from Groshans in the spring training that he's had the last couple of years. Nothing.
Well, he's sort of like the player they traded. I think it's Kevin Smith.
It's Kevin Smith, exactly.
Like
Alex Gonzalez.
As part of the Chapman trade, who, you know, he puts up these decent numbers, but never enough to challenge for a position or crack the roster. So it becomes one of those things where, well, what are we hanging on to him for? And there's a few pitching prospects like that too that maybe Cleveland's interested in, you know, just in terms of getting something back that, you know, it's a gamble for them, but they have this chip and let the chips fall where they may with in terms of this guy if he ever makes it or not.
Hey, you know who had a good spring so far? The former J. Austin Martin, who was acquired by the Twins for Jose Barrios. He's looking pretty good. He's looking pretty good in Minnesota. Yeah,
because I think even I think last year we were talking about him being there this year as a third baseman.
Well, he's their starting third baseman.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's Barrios, they were able to lock him up. So
you got to give to get. So
exactly.
I gotta say, when the front office switched in Toronto, I was probably the most skeptical, and I was like,
"You were angry."
I was not happy.
Let's call a spade a spade. You were angry
when they let the Cobras go. I was not happy, and I gotta say, they've proven me wrong at every turn so far. They got my full trust. Like, they're not making any deals that's sacrificing our future. I've liked every move they've made.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's hard to argue with any of them, really. And you can say, well, they got Semyon walk after the year he had. I mean, there was 30 other teams that were in the hat for his services. He wasn't going to give a hometown discount. So no, I think, you know, and signing him and Ray in the first place to 1-year deals was genius. Like low risk, high reward. So yeah, they've done pretty well. I was in the same boat when Anthopoulos left. I was not a happy camper. What I liked about him was that there was no off position to his GM status. He was always the GM of the Jays. He was always trying to improve the team, always looking for a deal, always asking about other GMs about players. And you want a guy like that. But having said that, these guys are so well or so knowledgeable on players, both at the MLB level and the minor leagues. And then even the facilities, you look at Dunedin, and I mean, it's a destination now in terms of facilities. So yeah, they've done a great job.
So let me say this one last thing. We know exactly what you're going to get from Vladdy. For the most part, Biggio and Espinal, Bichette, Chapman, George Springer, when he's healthy, is going to be probably the best leadoff guy in baseball, and Teoscar's a slugger. The catching situation, I think we kind of know what to expect. The one guy I bring up every single year who could be the X factor, who could lead them to the next level or can hurt them. I bring this guy's name up every year, and I get yelled at. Is Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Is this guy going to help them, hurt them, or just be Mr. Anonymity in this lineup? Because he's batting fifth.
Yeah, and you know, what I can see is him drop down to seventh on this team. But It's not something it's 162 games. So there's going to be times where he helps you. There's going to be times where he hurts you. And hopefully those are far fewer. You think of some of the defensive...
Mike, give us his scouting report. Let's say I'm a GM and I want, okay, Mike, I want to know what's this guy bring to the table here?
So he's I think slightly above average hitter with pop. But the knock on him is that he takes innings off. And by that, I mean, he's got all the tools to be a great defensive player. We've seen all the outfield assists, and he's
good. Yeah,
he's always near the top for outfield assists. Now, part of that though is the poor routes he takes to get the balls where people take extra bases or attempt to. And the other thing is he, like I say, he takes innings off where he's not there. His head isn't in it. And he misplays balls. So if he can reduce those and focus on the mental part, I think he'll have a great year and help the team. But you're right, there are times where he's hurting the team. Like I say, I can see him dropping to 7th because they're built to win now, and they've got the players to move up in the lineup that they're not going to hold a spot for him. Even the player they got from Colorado will be pushing and it gives you different tools that you don't have, that you might say, you know what, let's sit Gurriel today and give him a shot because we need the speed, or we'd rather have that than a liability.
Yeah, or just a consistent, you know what I mean? Like Lourdes has all the skill sets. That arm from left is second to almost none. He has a pretty good bat when he's there. Again, like you said, a lot of pop. He's aggressive on the base running, but the one knock is his focus, his mental fortitude throughout a baseball game. And whether, again, it's taking an inning off or whether it's just, he's distracted doing something different, not playing the balls properly. Sometimes I feel like he's letting the ball drop because he has such confidence in his left arm. He'd rather try and almost bait the runner into trying him. Stuff like that, where you just want somebody consistent, say, make the plays, make the right smart play at that time. It may not be flashy. It may not be highlight reel, but it also isn't going to be detrimental to the game. It's not going to cost us a couple runs or whatever. So you sort of ride, what kind of waves do you want to go? Do you want to take a chance today, or do you want somebody who can just kind of be there and fill in that spot? And if they have a couple of pieces, I think they can rotate that through. But until he sort of takes that next step maturity wise, mentally, I think Mike's spot on. It's going to be kind of par for the course, hit and miss. He's going to be great and bad at the same time.
And I'd say you put it almost better, where you would almost tell the guy, be boring. Go out there and be boring out there. Just, I don't care for the outfield assists at home. Just go play the field, make the catches, make the routine plays, and make the work on your wins above replacement fielding wise.
Right.
I like the Jays. I like the roster. I'm excited. Like Brock said, full year in the dome. There's a lot to like. I don't like the number 2 power ranking. It's a lot of pressure, and they're still young. I would have rather they just be like, hey, the Jays are a top 10 team. Perfect. Now they can let loose. Now the league is looking at them like number 2. They got to perform. And I think we're going to get the pitching. You're going to get the Robbie Ray out of Kevin Gausman. Trust me. This guy throws heat. He's a battler. He's a good person. This guy is awesome. Great signing. Perfect Jay. You're going to get the pitching. Can the hitting take them to they didn't make the playoffs last year. How are they number 2 ranking?
I think it's how they finished the year. I think everyone's looking at, 1, how they finished the year. 2, their offensive upside. A full year in the dome. It's all these factors coming together. Again, they have to stay healthy, and specifically at starting pitching. But the sky's the limit with this team.
Does Vladdy does he hit over 300, and does he get over 45 homers? Brock?
Yeah. Yes.
Mike?
I say yes to both. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go yes because he looks unbelievable.
You can't come in and say last year was a trailer, this year's the movie, and not do that. especially with a full season in Toronto at the Dome.
Dude might hit 60. I mean, he is on a tear. Anyway, it's exciting. I'm pumped.
Blue Jays bullpen is ranked 13, right in the middle of the pack, basically. So,
and how about them playing Texas first home opener? How awesome is that on Friday night?
Friday night.
Let's do it.
Oh, the best game I've seen. That game 5, whatever it was, 7th inning, game 5.
Oh, when Batista did the bat flip.
Oh, the pitch off with the hand, they let the run, and everybody's going nuts. And I still remember that home run. I was eating dinner, and I slammed the table so hard in celebration that Jackson, who was young at the time, was crying. Sabina was like, just like in my own world, but it was amazing. Anyway,
that was so awesome. I remember there was somebody modified the clip, and I guess it was an election maybe the year after, and Stephen Harper lost, and they when Batista hit the home run, the ball was Harper flying out of the
You say somebody, that's you did that.
I did that. Yes, it was me.
It was one of your videos.
Anyways,
After 8,
good talking, guys.
Blue Jay talk is just starting, and there will be a UC roadie to the Blue Jays this year. Book it. Figure out a weekend. Let's get down there.
I get so jacked.
Same.
If anybody's got hookup for tickets, let us know, or a box would be great. Homewood, if you got something, hit us up. Any last words before we go out?
I'm excited. I love Blue Jays baseball. Game 1, game 70, game 90. I'm in every game. I'll watch any game anytime. Love it. It's the best sport. It really is.
Okay,
right.
I agree.
And for those who watch the Grammys, this guy was on the Grammys, and one of the best songs. We're going out to Nas. If I Ruled the World. Make sure you check out unsportsmanlikeconvo.com for all your swag needs.
Yeah.
It's up and ready to be ordered.
Go buy some stuff.
Do it.
Imagine smoking weed in the street without cops harassing. Imagine going to court with no trial. Lifestyle cruising blue Bahama waters. No welfare supporters. More conscious of the way we raise our daughters. Days are shorter, nights are colder. Feeling like life is over. These snakes strike like a cobra. The world's hot, my son got knocked. Evidently, it's elementary. They want us all gone eventually. Trooping out of state for a plate. Knowledge, if coke was cooked without the garbage, we'd all have the top dollars. Imagine everybody flashing. Fashion, designer clothes. Lacing your click up with diamond rolls. Your people holding dough, no parole, no rubbers. Going raw, imagine law with no undercovers. Just some thoughts for the mind. I take a glimpse into time, watch the print read, the world is mine. If I rule the world, imagine that.
I free all my sons. I love them, baby. Black diamonds and pearls.
Could it be, if you could be mine, we both shine.
If I rule the world,
Still living for today. In these last days until where to be paradise life relaxing. Black, Latino, and Anglo-Saxon. Amani exchange the range. Cash, lost tribal Shabazz. Free at last. Brand new whips to crash. Then we laugh in the illa path. The villa houses for the crew. How we do. Trees for breakfast. Dime sexes and bench stretches. So many years of depression make me vision the better living. Type of place to raise kids in. Opening eyes to the lies. History's told foul. But I'm as wise as the old owl. Plus the gold child. Seeing things like I was controlling. Click rolling. Tricking 6 digits on kicks and still holding. Trips to Paris, I civilize every savage. Give me one shot, I turn tripe life to lavish. Political prisoner, set free, stress free. No work release, purple M3s and jet skis. Feel the wind breeze in West Indies. I think Coretta Scott King, mayor of the cities, and reverse things to Willies. It sound foul, but every girl I meet to go downtown. I'd open every cell in Attica, send them to Africa.
if I rule the world,
Imagine that.